Hi. Hello, good morning. Welcome to my corner of the World Wide Web. Welcome to episode 3 of Summerween. My name is Fat. This is Tchai, my co-host. And let's talk about how I've been overly confident going into this episode. Because so the past few videos, I've read more like eerie fantasy, and then I've also read a monster horror. So I'm feeling kind of great. The monster horror was more like a, oh my goodness, yuck. Like I was experiencing like a, like it was like the bloody, gruesome, people getting eaten type of feel. That was what was freaking me out there. So I haven't really felt scared, right? And so this week I've specifically like set aside the books that I'm trying to get through these weekdays that I think could maybe be a little bit scarier, because I want to actually like, I don't know, get into some horror. And when I tell you, let me tell you, so yesterday, Tuesday, I told myself I was going to start a book, get into it at least 50% to 75% of the way through, so that when I started the video today, I would at least have a good chunk to talk about, right? Let me tell you how that went last night. And when I say last night, I mean like 9 p.m. Oh, hell nah. That's that. I got a great night of sleep. I was not reading that in the dark. I'm 25 pages in and I had to set it down because what the cuss is happening, you guys. Let me just tell you, it's not spoiling, it's only 25 pages. So we have a main character. Oh yeah, by the way, let me try again. This is Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. Chuck Tingle has a little bit of a cult following, right? He's a author that wears a pink bag over his face, is completely anonymous, and is writing books like this and this and this. That's Chuck Tingle. So I think this is his first like horror novel, right? Now I can tell you what it's about. You open up with a main character. Her name is Rose. And Rose is a very, very devout religious woman. And by woman, she's 20 years old. In the opening scene, her and her friends are hanging out at this cliffside doing some lake jumping. They're a bunch of students. They're just having a good time together, right? And so the way it's set up is they're on this cliff and there's another cliffside like right here, not that far away. And Rose is at the top of the cliff and she looks over and she goes, "Do you guys see that woman?" And they're like, "What woman?" Behind, so like it's like this, and there's people right here. Literally right behind them is a woman with long, inky, greasy black hair, completely milked over eyes, a red collared shirt, and then khaki slacks, standing right behind all of those kids. And Rose is like, that woman literally right there. And when her friends like come over to see, the woman slides back into the shadows of the forest so nobody else sees her. And Rose is like, period. And then hangs out and like plays, jumps off the cliff, has fun, right? So then she drives home. Her little like guy best friend drives her home. He tries to make a move and she's like, yuck, stop that. I love the Lord and I love my classes. Stop. None of that. Ew. And he gets angry, drives off. She goes inside and her parents are like, guess what, Rose? We made your favorite. We have spaghetti with extra garlic. So she sits down. She's eating. She's about to dig in. They've said prayer. And her parents are like, so, you and that boy. And Rose is like, don't you guys worry. It's just me, the Lord, and my studies. And they're like, no, 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 no. You're 20 years old, you're a holy woman. You should be popping out kids right now. You get yourself in the kitchen, you make some sandwiches for your husband, you clean the house, and you pop children out, and that starts now. And she's like, oh, no, I'm really not into that. I'm just gonna eat my spaghetti. this isn't even a conversation that I really want to have. She's eating her spaghetti and she's like, and then she's like, something's scratching her throat. She doesn't know what's going on. She looks down at her plate and there's a fly on her plate, like wiggling around. And she's like, oh my gosh, should I eat half of that? And her parents are like, oh my goodness, ew, yuck. And she's like, it's still in her throat. Whatever's scratching her throat gets worse and worse and worse. And then she eventually coughs up a swarm of those flies. And they're all just out. Some of them are flying away. Some of them are just wiggling in the spaghetti sauce. And her mom is like, oh, ew. And her dad's like, let's just put this in the trash can. Like, that's crazy. And the daughter, Rose, she's like, are we not about to be more scared of this? And they're like, no, this is gross. Let's just order some pizza and let's go to bed. Like, that was wild. Let's just sleep. And Rose is like, you guys aren't worried? And her dad is like, probably drank something in that lake water. Yeah, probably drank a bug in the lake water. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed. You're right. I don't want to think about it. She goes to bed at night, throat still itching. She coughs up a little fly in the middle of the night. She's like, I'm gonna go drink some water. I'm so grossed out. I don't know what's going on. It's dark, right? Her mom's asleep on the couch. She usually watches this California preacher in the middle of the night when dad goes to bed because she likes to intake a little bit more of like a liberal religious experience. And her mom is sleeping there. A commercial's blaring in the background for Camp Damascus, 100% conversion rate, gay conversion camp. That's playing, and she's like, Rose goes to get her water. In the middle of the kitchen is that woman with the dark, inky black hair and the milky eyes. And she charges at Rose. Rose screams and the woman veers to the left and sprints into the closet. I closed the book. And I went to bed. What in tarnation is going on? What the actual heck, you guys? This lady with the greasy hair just charged at me. She can't see. Where did she come from? She was just... him just moving just then scared me a little bit. You guys, I am jumpy. Ain't no way. When I tell you, last night, I turned on a light and I went to sleep. And I opened the doors to my closet. Y'all not hiding in there. Ain't nobody hiding in my closet. I went to bed. I'm gonna keep going. I'm only 25 pages in. It's not a long book. It's 250 pages. And so I'm like a tenth of the way through and my heart is pounding. It's pounding. I was like, I'm so tough. I read about monsters. I read a little bit of a gargoyle book and I'm so tough and I can handle anything. No, I can't. When I tell you, windows open, I'm not going anywhere alone. He better not have to use the bathroom at night because it's not happening. If that lady pops up anymore, what do you mean? What do you mean? She just ran at you and you didn't. I would have literally whipped out every sense of fight or flight. She would have been down. I would have had her in one of these, like, what you doing here? I would have had her on the ground. Actually, I'm lying. I would have ran away, okay? I would have ran away. Because you know what she did? She's just like, and she was like, check in the closet. No. Let me tell you something about me being an African-American woman in America. This woman charges at me and runs into the closet. Hey, everybody. Get your butts in the car and I'm gonna burn this business to the ground. I'm burning this house to the ground. We can start over anywhere. Get in the car. And they're gonna be like, no, I'm too scared to get in the car. I said, get in the car, Mom. We're leaving. What do you mean? Check in the closet, Dad. She's in the closet. And you know, Dad goes in there. He's like, nobody here. And he's like, let's all just go to bed, you guys. need to clock into work. I just had to tell you like what energy we're entering this episode in, because I don't know if I'm gonna make it through this one. If 25 pages in got me feeling like this, ain't no way we're finishing this book. I'm gonna try a little bit more. I'm gonna try to get halfway. If halfway I'm feeling what I'm feeling, oh no, we don't need to do this. It is not that serious. Bring me back the little eerie fantasy. I said that T. Kingfisher was a little whack because she was making jokes. I want a joke. I want a joke so bad. I want somebody to make a little tee-hee so badly right now, because ain't no way I'm feeling like this. I'll catch up with you later, but welcome to episode 3. It's going down, I think. We may have a DNF this time around because I love my sleep. Last night turned out to be one of those nights where I get started on a book and it's super good and I say forget my sleep schedule. I am absolutely exhausted and I need to get it together in the next 20 minutes so that I can have a productive work day. But who cares about work right now when I have books to talk about? So around 8 p.m. last night, I finished Camp Damascus and I'm glad I continued it because I don't want to be known as the person who couldn't have finished this book. The beginning scenes, don't get me wrong, the first couple chapters, I was terrified. I was not having it. Everybody lock your doors, cover your windows. I almost put it down. But it was because of that ring woman popping up, the descriptions of her and how she was coming up, and the scary scenes that involved coughing up flies. I was not having any of that. However, the way this book kind of transpired and then I would say fell apart by the end was just a ridiculous time almost. Like it said a lot of things and it was very prevalent because gay conversion camps are very real. A lot of the religiosity behind this need to be different and hide yourself, very real. However, by the end, it became like this crazy fight scene, attack, battle, monster, very cabin in the woods. Like it had that sense and it just almost fell apart in a ridiculous kind of way. And I stopped being scared around halfway. I would say that. Around halfway, I was just reading the book to figure out what was happening, and it wasn't fear anymore. Even when Scary Demon Lady popped up, I wasn't afraid of her anymore once we kind of reasoned what was going on. I felt a little annoyed though, because with the crazy ridiculousness that just popped up at the end of this book, all the characters were just like hearing people explain what was going on and give up the ending and give up, you know how do I explain this? You know how in superhero movies the bad guy is like, oh yeah, and then tells their entire plan? That's what happened at the end of this book. The bad guys did their little bad guy monologue and explained everything. And in that explanation, the main characters were just like, yeah, that tracks, like, and just accepted it. That felt kind of odd because it was wild. The explanation for these monsters and the flies was absolutely unhinged. At the same time, when we see what Chuck Tingle is writing, there is an unhinged nature to the stories that he is putting out. So I can't be upset. At the same time, I am very confused on how I feel about this book, just because I was so scared in the beginning and then I was so bamboozled by the end. The range of emotions that I went into this with. I do think for somebody who doesn't usually write horror, this was a great debut horror. I do think that it's a great setting and a great premise on what we were writing. Like, gay conversion camp, scary things like could be happening in the basement of those. Like, of course, that is so prevalent and so real. And I don't know, I just, like I said, the level of camp that came out of this. Again, another camp novel. I don't know what is with me picking up these accidental, very campy scenes. I finished that around 8 p.m. and then I figured I could start something else. And that start something else ended up with me staying up into the middle of the night so that I could read and finish this book. And that book was Follow Me to Ground. I would put this more in the body horror category, but not body horror, terrifying monster changes pain. More so, it was like in a medical sense. The descriptions and the horror behind the body were these medical procedures in a way. And let me tell you what this book is about. It follows a father and daughter who live on the edge of town, and they act as a means of curing the people within the city, within the town. The way that they go about curing is magical. I would say it is magical, and there is a sense of almost witchery within this. But another way that they cure larger ailments is they will bury you in the ground. They'll put you to ground and they'll bury you, and you'll come up a few days later and you'll be cured. But one thing about how they cure and how they take care of you is sickness doesn't just come out. Sickness gets displaced. It gets put somewhere else. If something comes out of you, it therefore must go elsewhere. And this story follows the daughter as she comes into a situationship with somebody in the town. What transpires from there, and almost this falling apart of the family structure, and what transpires between her and this partner. I would say this has it had a very literary feel. Let me give you a page because it's the way that this is written. The summers here are made of long untended grass and flat lemon light. Baking ground, sunshine haze, shadows cast so dark and deep they seem as solid and alive as the bodies that throw them. The summers here see even the morning sharp with heat, and every morning I leave the hot mess of my sheets to stand outside on the patio stones and study the drain. This gullied, gutted hole. Even now it sparkles with its secret wet supply. I'm fearful of it, the drain.
Fearful because no matter how long and dry the summer, slugs come up the drain and creep on their snake bellies round the patio, trying to get into the house. I've hated slugs since I was a child. Once I pinched one between my forefinger and thumb and rubbed it to death. It was a baby, no larger than a bean. At night, I hear their slow procession. All the slugs that live beneath the house. I hear them moving around, shriveling over the pebbles and dirt like the skin of staling fruit, wandering blindly up and down the lawn, stalk eyes roving. Now in the daytime, the garden is all rustle and sigh, and I can't hear whatever sound their live bellies might be making. It veers into poetic, I would say. Like, it's definitely a literary feel, but there is a poesy to how this book is written, and it's lovely. Oh my goodness, I loved reading this, and I think the way that it was written was why I just had to get to the end. The end gives you nothing. Oh my gosh, the way it ends just kind of fades into this misty, hazy place, and the horror, I would say, is it's a tension. I wasn't scared, but the tension built, and the storms coming in and things coming out of the ground. This had the most perfect ambiance. The way that the ambiance and vibes of this book were set were horrifying, but I wasn't scared and I didn't experience fear. It's just that the setting of this and the mystery of this and the lack of answers that I was given definitely built up this pressure and this like cold sweat type of feeling, and it was just so good. It was so good. If you can handle an episode of Grey's Anatomy or like House, and you can deal with this medical sense of things, and you can deal with like a medical description and thinking about the body in this sterile setting almost, I would say read this. This was great. This was a fantastic read for me. I would say 4.5 stars. It was just so great. If you love that writing and you like that little clip that I gave you, read it. Again, the way the body is spoken about and written about and handled is very doctoral. It does give you that, and I was a little squeamish with certain parts of it, but it wasn't done in a murderous way. These were people curing people and healing people, and the descriptions of the earth and of the land and of folklore. This was such a good read. So far, the books that are kicking butt this summerween are the short books. The little books are absolutely crushing it so far. So I would say that one is another top for what we're doing here.